I have a very rude passenger just threatened to blow my head off.
Last October,
I can stop in front of that precinct and get an officer.
No, that's a negative. Don't do that. No, don't do that. Just pull over and stay fine. And I have someone to assist you. What is the passenger doing in 2104?
GRTC bus driver Wayne Harvell was forced to fight for his life.
See that right there? That was, realize my client was afraid this guy had a gun because he said he was going to shoot him.
After he was violently attacked by one of his passengers. Despite his injuries and the video evidence, Harvell's workers' compensation claim was denied, so his wife turned to the CBS 6 problem solvers.
He's the sole provider for our family. I'm a stay-at-home mom. We have 2 children with special needs. We're struggling at this time.
We broadcast our report in March, and 2 months later, a judge hearing Harvell's appeal ruled in his favor.
All of his back pay, his medical bills are paid. He continues in treatment and, he's recovering slowly, but he's hurt.
Attorney Sean Kavanaugh.
This is a man who was working 70 hours a week, supporting his wife and kids, the sole breadwinner. He went from October until this decision, November until this decision, with no income. And that's not something many families can sustain.
Despite their victory, the family still lives in fear. That's because the man who police say attacked Harvell, Dexter Superville, remains at large.
I think they're reluctant right now because they're afraid. They're afraid of this individual who's still on the loose, and will he seek repercussion against them for if they were on public, talking about it.
Despite the severity of the attack, Richmond police initially only charged Superville with misdemeanor simple assault, and he was released a short time later. In fact, it was Harvell himself who was told he had to go to the magistrate to take out the charge.
Now, that was a fight for his life. So I wouldn't consider it a misdemeanor assault. We've seen the video. This fight goes on for 10, 15 minutes. He's kicked in the head violently, several times. That goes beyond a misdemeanor. That's deadly intent when you kick somebody in the head.
The thing is, Richmond police tell CBS 6 that GRTC never gave RPD investigators the security footage of the beating, so they were not aware of how bad it was until they saw our story. A detective says he then immediately requested the footage and prepared felony warrants on Superville for malicious wounding and strangulation.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it had to take a news story for the police to find out about the videos rather than GRTC presenting them to the police themselves.
A GRTC spokesperson says they work with RPD or the Commonwealth's attorney regarding video footage when they request it, and they don't recall if that happened in this case. They also said GRTC pursued assault and battery and destruction of property charges against Superville, and he was banned from their buses. But Wayne Harvell, who continued driving until a doctor told him not to drive a bus, says Superville reappeared on his bus just 1 week after the attack. Kavanaugh says his client wishes GRTC had pushed for felony charges, saying that may have kept Dexter Superville behind bars.
And I think that Wayne was hoping that GRTC would take care of it because he's afraid to have his name associated with that, because apparently he was told he has to give his name and that the perpetrator would also find out who he is and where he lives, and he wasn't willing, as crazy as this guy was, to take that risk.
So police have felony warrants in hand, but the suspect is nowhere to be found. Now, CBS 6 has learned he is also wanted in connection with another shocking crime that took place on a GRTC bus. Crime insider John Burkett will have the details on that and the manhunt for Dexter Superville. That is tonight at 11. Working for you, I'm Melissa Hippolyte for CBS 6.
I have a very rude passenger just threatened to blow my head off.
October 11th, 2021, the outskirts of Gilpin Court. A GRTC bus driver is threatened and then viciously attacked by one of his passengers.
See that right there? That was, realize my client was afraid this guy had a gun because he said he was going to shoot him.
The victim, 58-year-old Wayne Harvell, suffers a severe concussion and other injuries while fighting for his life. November 9th, Southside Plaza. Richmond police receive a call about a shooting on board another GRTC bus. When they arrive, they find 23-year-old Jonathan Contreras in critical condition. He later dies at the hospital. Investigators say these crimes, separated by 1 month and 5.5 miles, have one thing in common. The same man was responsible. That suspect, Dexter Superville, someone who is no stranger to law enforcement. In August of 2017, he was arrested by Henrico police and charged with 14 counts of robbery and 7 counts of using a firearm in the commission of a felony. But every single charge was ultimately dismissed. Then in July of 2020, Superville was arrested after a riot broke out in Monroe Park. He was charged with rioting with a dangerous weapon, destruction of property, and possession with the intent to deliver crack cocaine, all felonies. But 3 months later, prosecutors dropped the rioting charge and the other 2 crimes were knocked down to misdemeanors. Superville was given 12 months in jail, but the entire sentence was suspended. He then received supervised probation and walked out of court a free man.
What does that say? Why was he let loose? Why? What, did he get any help? Evidently not, or evidently it didn't help him.
A little less than 1 year later is when police say Superville attacked Wayne Harville,
who was only doing his job, making a living, driving a bus. What kind of message are we sending out in this city?
Now a multi-state manhunt is underway. Crime Insider sources telling CBS 6 that Superville was traced to a homeless shelter in New York back in March, but he escaped before he could be captured. 5 months later, he still hasn't been caught. If and when that happens, the attorney who takes his case will have some challenges.
A bond, it's extremely relevant because the purpose of a bond hearing is to determine whether someone's a flight risk. So a prosecutor would be telling the judge that he's been on the run.
And CBS 6 legal analyst Todd Stone says if it's proven that Superville left Richmond to avoid arrest, it could come into play at trial.
It shows a consciousness of guilt. If you're on the run, it is an indication generally that you've got a reason to be, that you're aware of something and you're trying to get away.
Stone says the fact that there is surveillance video for both of these crimes is huge for prosecutors if Superville is identifiable. If you know his whereabouts, Richmond police want to hear from you. Working for you in the city's South Side, John Burkett, CBS 6 News.